Hello there y'all, Rain here. Well, the community post decided, so it's time for another one of my RPG horror stories. For those that missed the last one, and you really should check them out, they're very funny in my opinion. I work at a comic and game shop as a manager. Each of us has our own little area of expertise that we hyperfix into, so one of my coworkers is our trading card game guy, one of them handles our Japanese imports and such, another one handles our ordering system and statues and such like that. My boss happens to handle the comics, which is great because I have no idea on any of that. My general area of expertise is in board games and TTRPGs. I'm in no way a savant with every year or lead designer on auto recall, but it makes me happy and I can help folk find what suits their needs. Since I handle this area, I handle the TTRPG nights. Usually this involves me making a scenario that will last approximately 2 hours and running it for the folks that show up. I've had a table of folks from as small as 2 up to tables of 9+, which was wild. And those age ranges can be from about 8 to 80. I really enjoy helping folks have a good time, and when newer folks come in, I try to make it so that they can understand what they're doing. If they've never played before, I'll either offer to do them a little demo tutorial, or I'll give them some links and other helpful tools to know what they're doing before they show up. I keep PC generations pretty simple and consistent, that way folks that show up can make their own PCs ahead of time. They just give me their sheet, I take a quick look at it and make sure all the numbers add up right and they didn't somehow stumble upon an item they shouldn't have, or all their stats are maxed or something like that, and then we're off to the races. For those that don't want to make a sheet, I keep a big book of pre-gen things aimed for ease of introduction, and if somebody speaks to me ahead of time, I'm more than happy to make a sheet that suits their needs. After all, I'm here to help, and PC creation is one of my favorite parts of playing anyways. This leads us to the focus of the story. For this story, we're going to talk about this chap named Naruto. Now, Naruto comes into the store with their grandparent. While he was looking around, he saw that we did a TTRPG night, and he asked her if he could play. I heard all this from this little nook I have behind the counter, and when I heard her have some questions and concerns, I get up and say hi, I'm the one that handles it, and answer her questions. Generally, it was just her being concerned about the violence and if it would be appropriate for somebody's age. Now, the kid's about 14 to 15 years old, so I said it should be just fine, and after she says okay, I ask him some general questions, such as, have you played before? What kind of thing would you like to play as? Will we be needing any dice? Stuff like that. Now, it turns out he's watched a couple games, but he's never actually played. So I give him some links and some resources, and if he has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer through the store's resources. I asked them what they would like to play, and they mentioned that a deadly magical archer would be right up their alley, and I say, sure, I can handle that. If you'd like, I can make you a sheet and have it ready for next week. They say okay, and leave chipper and content, and so I go ahead and whip one up. Elven Archer align the stats so they can be as good as they can for that level, and we're off to the races. Next week comes around and they join in the game. I asked them if they had any questions or concerns, and they said no, they were good, so we begin. Now, I can't remember every detail, as this happened quite a while ago for me, but it was a repeated pattern of behavior. Sessions would start, and I would describe the scenario again as a refresher for folks. It usually has them dropped right into the middle of things, as sadly we only had about 2 hours to play, and I wanted to make sure everybody got to the end. Most of these are some form of combat or exploration scenario for ease. Now, I want to clarify that he wasn't a bad kid, and this isn't meant to rag on him, but as other players and DMs know, sometimes someone doesn't realize what they're doing might be a bit off-putting. When it comes to the sessions, I can't say he lacked enthusiasm, but sadly his attention and retention were not the greatest. Midway through fights, he might just attack people they were protecting and because he forgot, or he'd ask why they were sneaking around on a stealth mission. That's okay though, we've all forgotten things before, but what really caused the issue was when reminded, he'd carry on with what he was doing and then say, well, if we kill them, we can just claim the bad guys did it and still take the reward. Or, well, we're strong, we don't need to sneak, and then purposely get themselves noticed. Which of course caused quite a bit of friction with the players. They were willing to forgive that though. What really drove them and me up the walls was their insistence on trying to do everything Naruto and Sasuke could do. As a reminder, they asked to be an archer, but every session they would join in the melee, just running straight in there, doing backflips and hand signs, and then declaring they would use the powers of the Sharingan to rip off the arm, or blast fireballs from his mouth. And these were by no means quick descriptions. He would take minutes to laboriously describe each flip and kick that his PC would then try to use, and the techniques and all the different hand signs meanings. I would remind him that while he for sure could kick and punch these people, it was not what his PC was meant to be good at, and that while I appreciate folks role-playing combat because roleplay does not end once initiative starts, Extra descriptions, unfortunately, do not add effects to the dice rolls either to hit or to the damage in this game, and in no way could he use magical eyes or blast fireballs, as they were not even close to the abilities that his PC was supposed to have. Now, after the very first session this happened and I asked them, would you like me to make you a different PC? There is a monk class in this game, and one of the subsets to it is very close to the type of thing he wanted to do. And while not amazing, it would provide the fantasy he was after. But he wasn't into it. They liked the PC they had, and they just wanted me to give them these abilities that they described, and I had to explain to them that this is a public game, and while everyone is having a good time, I have to treat everybody fairly and equally, and there was no way I was doing that for them. They pouted and left, and I'd hope that maybe they changed their minds about the change, as I truly do want every player to have a fun experience, and that's as much as I can provide. Sadly, he did not. He came for a few more sessions each time, taking longer on his descriptions, and when I interjected as I could see the other players growing bored or annoyed, he'd pout and at one point stomped off. He did, after a few sessions, try to use the abilities of his class, but even though I had made sure to label everything and offer assistance and additional guides, they would say that it just wasn't cool enough, or it was lame because he didn't hit every time he took a shot. I believe he played with us just under 2 months, about 5 or 6 times, before he did eventually stop coming in. This is one of those times as a DM where I don't feel there was anything else I could really do. I was trying to give this player as much assistance and tips as I could, but they were unwilling to swap to a PC that better fit into their playstyle and fantasy. I debated the idea of just giving him another sheet, but given how adverse he was, I felt he would just tear it up in anger. I will say that unless a player is causing a danger to themselves or others, or is truly being a disturbance, I do try to avoid removing players from public games, but how do you feel you would have handled this situation? Put your answers in the comments, and if you have any similar stories or experiences, I'd love to hear about them. If you can, a like, share, or especially a subscribe really helps as I work on getting more of these videos out, and if you enjoy answering TTRPG prompts or questions, please join me on Twitter or Blue Sky, where I post daily, which is linked on the main channel page. Who knows, your responses may be part of a future video. Thanks again, y'all, and I hope that these videos and ideas are helpful to you and help you tell better tales. Bye!